Good day, Marius. Thank you very much for being on episode 54 of Futsal868 Corner Talks. Once again, what I did, I am so excited to have you on the show that I did not put on my mic.
I want to scream to you that it is not okay. I don't hear you. Yes.
And so just to let everybody know, this is episode 54, and it's
Okay.
becoming quite a habit that I need to do something about this as regards to not putting on my mic before I speak. And we have with us, as I said before, Mr. Marius Privee, who is the former head coach of the Netherlands women's national futsal team. But guys, please note that he has more than just that one title. And I want to give kudos and thanks very much to our partner in Suriname, Rolf Verwey, who has supported us in every way possible to be able to put us on with Marius here. Marius, how are you doing?
Yes, I'm very finding it's good weather nowadays in Holland. It was very cold the last days, and so we enjoyed. And I am healthy, so I have no problems with COVID. It's a very strange time, but we make the best of it. That's the most important thing, I think.
That is really and truly the most important thing. So our guests will want to know, Marius, who who are you when it comes to futsal? As a were you a player? We know you're a coach, but what about administrator? Tell us more in regards to your history in futsal.
Yes, I will tell you. I was born in 1953. I'm retired now, but I do not still a lot of work uh, for the association for clubs. In the town where I was born, there was started futsal. I played football uh, with the amateur club in Den Helder. I was a keeper, and I played with all kinds of boys. And when we were, I think it were 18, we started an own futsal team in the own competition there in Den Helder. It was the first competition every in the Netherlands. Uh, I was a keeper, and I played in the first team of the residence team. And I was not a professional because there was not a lot of professional. There was also not a lot of futsal, and sometimes it was forbidden to play futsal and football with the clubs. So that's where I started. I become a teacher secondary school, and I give was language, the Dutch language. I teach it, and it was also history, and I have give a lot of other vakken, and so when I was a teacher, I become also a coach and a trainer. I become a football trainer and a futsal trainer. I did both. I had a team, and I was very young, the coach, and we were champion every year. And after that year, we become in higher classes. I think we become 9 times champion, and then we arrived in the honor division, the division of honor, the highest division in Holland. So it was a great time for me. And also on the football field, it was a great time because it was 10 years I have done it. And then the association asked me to come to work for the association to promote it futsal. So we had futsal communities in every district, and there become boys and girls, and we tried to make them better in that district. So it was I played as a head of development, or at last I was for 1 or 2 years. Then we stopped it because it was a lot of money what was invested, and in some districts there were no futsal youth, so they take only football youth. That was the problem for the association. um, I become also coach of the women team. It was only there was no games for women in Europe. There was no championship. So we only played against other teams or with the Dutch team. The best players played together, and I was the coach. After that, I became coach of under 23 in Holland, and I became assistant of Vic Hermans. He was a well-known coach in the world. He's also been a lot of time in Asia, and we have done a lot of games together. And after that I become I make futsal for schools or for university of secondary schools. So I work them to make the championships, and so we hope that a lot of young girls and young boys will play futsal. So we thought that was very important, but it's very difficult to realize. Then I became again head coach of the women team, that was the last what I did. I was also making instructor of futsal C and UEFA B, we call it. That's the second, that's the highest level you can get in Europe. I be the instructor, and we made it be allowed to give in Holland. So I do also this year. I give the course to some people. I am happily married in all the time. I was. I have three children, two boys and one girl, and I have seven grandchildren. So it's very nice because they live around me. So we see each other a lot of time. So that's my life, Edward, Geoffrey.
And what a life it is to be able, especially to have your grandchildren spend time with you. Um, forget about the children. The grandchildren is the most important thing. We want to take some time to be able to recognize these kind words from your friend Ralph, who says you have a clear friend of mine and Futsal Suriname on your show with a great personality. He have extensive knowledge of the game and single-handedly developed for the Surinamese coaches and provided structure for Futsal Suriname. We're very thankful for Marius spending time with us in Suriname. So there you have it, Marius,
Thank
giving
you.
such great kudos to you from
Yeah,
Rolf.
very nice.
So
Yes.
before
Nice.
before we go on to ask further questions as regards to futsal in Suriname, we were doing some research, and these are the following things that we found when it is to speak to the sport, the fastest growing indoor sport in one of the most developed countries in Europe. At the turn of the century, the men in orange were among the world's best. They were even made they even made it to the 1989 FIFA Futsal World Cup final in their own country. That has been the high point in the history of futsal in the Netherlands so far. The Netherlands were defeated 2-1 by Brazil in that 1989 finals. Our research continues. Between 1996 and 2014, the Netherlands completed 5 times at the European Championship, finishing sixth in 1996 and fourth 3 years later. The last time the Netherlands qualified for a final tournament was in 2014. Pitted against futsal giants Russia and Portugal, they failed to make it beyond the group stage. Between 1996 and 2014, the Netherlands competed 5 times on the European Championship, finishing, as I said before, finishing sixth. This is a slide that repeats itself. And lastly, KNVB will host the 2022 Futsal Europe Tournament, featuring 16 nations. It will be played from the 9th of February to the 6th of February that same year. This will be the first major futsal tournament being staged since the inaugural FIFA Futsal World Cup in 1989. I wanted to take the time, Ralph, to be able to highlight that to our viewers, to give a backdrop as regards to what a rich history that Holland has had in futsal, but also to recognize that there has been a gap between 1989 to present day. Can you explain to our viewers why there was a gap? Why is Holland not ranked in the top 5 in the world? Presently, Holland is ranked number 8 in Europe. So what has been happening in the landscape in Holland when it comes to futsal?
Yes, when you look to the landscape in Europe, that's the most important thing. You see that England, Germany, France are not big countries with futsal. Holland was started very well. They were the second team in the championship in 1986, I think, 86, yeah. And there we played very good, and it was very popular, and everybody was looking. But um, it was Spain and Portugal and Italy and Russia. They were developing their teams and their clubs. There was more money and more playing, so they become richer and make very strong teams. And they also have very great names, like Barcelona, like Benfica, like Sporting Lisbon. So it was very good that the clubs there develop very well and can train every day. In Holland, there's another situation. We are a small land. It was started futsal in the association, and yeah, there were no big teams. Yeah, there were teams, and they become champion. But when you uh, look to the other teams in Spain, when we go to the Europa Cup playing, it was very difficult for our teams to win. And you see still the difference between uh, uh, a lot of clubs in Holland. We have one club now. It is doing better. That's Hove Kubo, the champion, and they are starting to try to come higher on the level in Europe. But it's very important for your players that there is a very strong competition. Will you play against the biggest countries of the world of Europe? When you have to play against Spain or against Portugal, yeah, you must be a player that is physical, okay, to play the games every time. So that's the difficult, and that makes the gap to uh, to the other countries. So, and nowadays it's still difficult because clubs must, yeah, when you want to train every day, it costs a lot of money. So it's very difficult to develop, and there must be more use. And sometimes, and you see some clubs are making still better, but it takes a long time. You must make a good structure. Now they have a competition in Holland with 16 clubs. So we hope it will make it better. And we have a special competition because the players, they there are 4 teams not playing you. You play 12 games, and after that it becomes 2 pools for the best pool, and then the pools who are playing for degradation for when they are the lowest teams. So you get better games, and that's very important, I think. Yes.
If I That's very much well explained, Marius. Now the question would be, what about the big clubs such as Ajax and Feyenoord? How are they seeing futsal as part of their developmental structure?
Yeah, that's very good. I see it very good. I have worked with Ajax, and they played futsal in the team, and they have a lot of futsal players. We all know Neres, Tadic, and Anthony, that are players that have also be big in futsal. Feyenoord, PSV was also playing in. They like to play futsal, but not as a sport. They use it as a tool. So that's the difference. You have the sport futsal and you have the tool futsal. And when you are only a tool, but I think when clubs are smart, they do also futsal, because when they have also embraced the futsal, they can do more players to football and to futsal. Some players that are not good enough for football can maybe play better futsal. So you have for the players more work to do. So that will be great. I think it will be, maybe, I hope, Eindhoven we have from Holland, FC Eindhoven. That's a professional club, and they have put futsal in the development of the players. So we hope it will be working in time. This. So yeah, that I think it's very important that you see futsal as a sport, and when it is a sport, you can develop it. When you see it as a tool, you use it to make football better.
And that is well said. And across the board, um, in every for everyone that we spoke to concerning futsal, many persons believe that futsal should be made a sport and move away from it being said as a tool. So it should not come necessarily compete with football. It should complement football, but not as a tool only, but as a sport. So you said it rightly, and I'm totally in agreement to that statement. With that being said, how can you give us how you put together and the journey that was the Holland women's national futsal team?
But that's very nice. It was a very nice journey with the teams. We have a competition, and the competition was always so at the end of the year for teams come and play for the championship of Holland. That was the game, and there was a lot of difference between the teams. So it was not a uh, very strong game against each other. So we started to talk with the club, and we want to have a national league, because when you have a national league, we hope there will be the best players, and when there be the best players, then we have a good games, and they can develop very well. So we started, and we have the clubs did a lot, and we talked together about, yeah, there must be a licensed coach. So that was very important. Every team must have a licensed coach. So the coach must be have a course uh, to be a better coach, and then the teams become better, and so we started also. There came a national European championship came there was there, and so we can train with the ladies, and we trained, and they can develop in the competition. But it is difficult because it's the start, so it must be stronger. So they nowadays there are more teams, so they have 12 teams now, and they play national. And when it will be better, and when they will be trained more, so it will be a heavier competition for each team and every player, and then they develop. Now, when COVID, there was no competition in Holland because it was forbidden by the government. And a lot of these players from the national women team now were going to Italy and have played in Italy. So that's very good for you developing. I think when the Dutch football team, when you talk about Dutch football, you always see that a lot of players are playing in foreign competitions like England, like Spain, like, so we have a good team, but they are not playing in Holland. I think it's the same with Trinidad. When you have the players from England to here, you have a very good team, and you be rising. You see in Suriname, they have now the Dutch players with a Suriname passport, and they are playing, and now they are winning. They are going wrong because they play in stronger competitions.
In terms of female, because female inclusivity is one of the pillars of Futsal 868 strategic goal. How many female coaches, instructors, and administrators are there in futsal that you know about?
Futsal coaches, there are, we have now a Dutch assistant. My assistant is now coach of the national team. They are two women. They are also, one is also in the honor competition. I think two, three, and that's maybe men. So we have to work hard to get more women to the courses, because I think that's also important. So they develop themselves. Today I saw one club. They are doing a lot of work and have a lot of girls who are playing now, and they are training now. So I think, yeah, they're training one time a week. I don't. because it's not possible to train more. But we hope when after years everybody finds it tough, you can train more, and then they become better, and then you can better the competition. So that's the way I think futsal has to develop everywhere. But it's very difficult also for clubs to have good teams and that the players can train.
That leads me to the next question. Bridging the gap between football and futsal in Holland. What would be your additional suggestions? Because you have made a lot of suggestions since the beginning of the show. Yes, one of the things that you said is not to see futsal only as a tool, but a sport. You also mentioned in the answer in the last question to be able to have more females involvement in the sport of futsal. Are there any other suggestions that you would give to the KNVB as well as other prominent clubs such as PSV, Feyenoord, Ajax, to be able to bridge that gap between futsal and football?
Yes, we are always talking with the professional clubs. It was in my time. Now I'm retired, but in my time we were a lot of conference together. We have also make a tournament. We have talked with Ajax. Ajax wanted to play find it very good to play in the futsal. So they have another ground and another ball. So it was also differential learning for the children. So it was a tool, not a sport. So it was a tool, not a sport. And it's very difficult to talk about that the big clubs take also futsal. That's very difficult because, yeah, they have now women football. That is starting now. We have now Feyenoord has this year for the first time a football team of the women. But yeah, when you say futsal must be and we supported it, it's more difficult. We have Futsal Feyenoord, that's the name of the club, Futsal Feyenoord, but they have to do it by their own still, and have the name, and we hope it will be given more exposure.
Johan Cruyff, a well-known son of the soil when it comes to Holland,
Yes, he was
as a
very good.
legend, as well
Yeah,
as Barcelona, to the point whereby when it is you go into the museum, there is a section dedicated to Mr. Cruyff. He also has been instrumental in terms of the philosophy of Barcelona's style of play, which includes, as has been documented, the tiki-taka style of football.
yeah.
Many persons attribute that to futsal. Do you think that there's a clear correlation between the Barcelona style of play, which, as I said before, was also fundamental to Johan Cruyff, and even the 1970s style of football from Holland, to what you see as futsal?
Yeah, Tiki Taki is very important. All the Cruyff was not maybe thinking about futsal, but he was well always talking about football on the street. So it's that that find it very important. It was he also have 6 against 6, and the street was very important for him. And we say always the street is nearer futsal than football. The street is nearer futsal than football. So the street seems like the futsal more than football. Football is much bigger. The street is much smaller. And Guardiola, that is the man. He likes also. He was an adept of Johan Cruyff. He was a fan of him. He called him also his master. And Guardiola is one who likes futsal very much. And he always say futsal is good for the players. He is very good. But it's then always you must always take care uh, that is football, and we have to develop futsal as a sport. You can use it always as a tool. That's very good, and you can work together when people are young, and you can work till 16 years maybe. I think with futsal and football you can do it together, and then players have to choose. Only they have to choose when you play a lot of times. So when you have to train 5 times with your professional club and have a game, you cannot play futsal. But when you have to train 5 times futsal and you have a game, you cannot play football. It's that simple. That's the way. And therefore, we need more. Will you be professional? That's and you see Spain. Yeah, they train 5 times. Portugal, they train 5 times. They train a lot. Russia, they train a lot. Iran, they train a lot. You can call the countries, and you see all everywhere that there are professional futsal clubs and they're working professional. Because when you can do it, and but 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 the clubs must be and must do a lot to do it, and that's very important. And they must not wait and look to the association and say, "Hey, association, why you don't do anything?" We must do it together, all together.
That approach that you're speaking to is a top-down approach, because I'm really hearing you saying that it's very important the clubs as well as the federation give homage to, support realistically and holistically the growth of the sport of futsal. Now, from a bottom-up approach, I know that Panna is extremely popular in Holland. As you see, street football is extremely popular in Holland. Now, what is it in the informal landscape that is street football? How does futsal fit in that? Is futsal is street football much more popular than football? Is it that you will see much more street football taking place?
When you street football, they organize it here. And when you have, Tusani, he was a player of the national futsal team. You know Tusani. He's very famous in the world with all his programs. He has now started the street competition with street captains, and everywhere there are a lot of boys and a lot of girls are playing street competition. I think the same you can do with futsal. You can also start it kind of street competition for boys and girls everywhere. So they play the game. And when they play the game, you have only to look for the players who can go who you can develop more. So that's maybe one manner to do. But it's also the clubs have to um, yeah make it possible that youth can play futsal, because if they cannot play futsal, they don't play futsal. I see in Holland it's very difficult when in my district there are a lot of youth football teams, but when you go to Groningen, that's another district, there are no clubs with youth futsal. So a boy who wants to play or a girl who wants to play and ask where can I play, we have to say you cannot play here because there is no club who has youth. And that is where yeah, sometimes that makes it very difficult, because we must make people enthusiastic to start with football. And when a club started with futsal, we see that there are a lot of girls and boys. I have seen it a lot of times. There are a lot of boys and girls who want to play because, hey, they can play now. But if it's not there, it's very difficult for the boys and the girls to develop as a football. So you are 21 or 22. There's a coach. He's coming. Hey, you're playing very good football. Do you want to play futsal in my team? Then it's a football player who plays futsal, and then you have to learn a lot. But when you are 12 years old and you started with futsal and you learn a lot of things, you are more in front at 22.
Given the hosting of the 2022 Futsal Euro, has this assisted KNVB to invest more in the sport of futsal? And is that investment trickling down to the rest of the country?
Yes, we hope. Yeah, I think they hope when they have now. It's a very nice tournament. The most clubs, the most team 16, I believe, are coming to Holland. They're playing in Groningen, in Martini Hall, and they're playing in Ziggo Dome. That's near the Ajax stadium, so it's very near. Zico is a very, very beautiful building, and yeah, we hope everybody goes to see futsal. Everybody sees it and wants to play it, and then we hope it will give and push to futsal in Holland. The clubs for the clubs, when people like it, and maybe when you can see it, they become enthusiastic and they will go to the clubs and they will go to see futsal, because futsal is, yeah, you have a lot of chances in a game. There is a lot of changing in the game, a lot of transitions in the game. So I think it's very popular sport for girls and boys. I think it's very, for the young people, they like it very much. Always when they say, yeah, I like futsal, I like we call it salverball, but we like futsal. They always like, every time where you do futsal with them, yeah, they have a lot of time. The ball, they can score. Yeah, they like it.
I totally agree. And with that note, as we talk about liking, we'll take a quick break. And for
Okay.
those who just join us, this is Futsal 868, 1 hour earlier, just because of Marius, of course. Futsal in Holland. We'll be right back.
You will not be able to stay home, brother.
Episode 54. We are here with Marius Privee out of Holland. Futsal in Holland. The man himself. I want to say thank you very much, Marius, for taking the time out to be able to spend on this Sunday afternoon with us. Well, afternoon for us, night for you, even though there's the sun in the background. I'm seeing the light in the background, but it's still night for you. I want to say thank you very much for discussing futsal in Holland. It was very much informative, noting that a lot of our coaches in Trinidad and Tobago are quite accustomed to the Dutch system as well as the Dutch coaching education system, having a long time standing relationship with the KNVB. A lot of our coaches have been certified according to the KNVB teachings. With that being said, we move on to the segment that speaks to your perspective on futsal in UEFA. Tell us what you believe are some of the strengths, the weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that exist within futsal in the largest and most commercially viable confederation in FIFA.
When you when we look to the European, the UEFA, it was very important that there was a new director. The new director was uh, in his when he was in his own country. He was a member of a futsal club. He was a government in the futsal club. So we know he likes futsal because he did the work, and he is now Severin is now the head of futsal. So you have also seen that he wants to work to make futsal better. We have a very good champion league where big clubs are playing now, and I've seen it on TV last time. It were very good games. It's very high level, and they are also started with younger teams. So we have an under 19 championship. Holland was also a member of the under 19 championship. They have started the women competition. So I see UEFA wants to develop the futsal. So that's very good. I see the most. It's always there must be more futsal people in the government, because I think that's also important. Because nowadays, and I think it's also in the FIFA, and I think it's also in the CONCACAF, and I think it's also in the UEFA, there are always football people who decisions make decision of futsal. I think there must be real futsal players or futsal people or futsal coaches. They must be thinking about the futsal in, in UEFA or FIFA, so they can make good decisions. I think that's very important. I always sometimes you see that that they make football people, so they will always think about football, and I think futsal people always think about futsal. So that makes it different when you have to make a decision, because when it's an important decision, you have to say you must invest 1 million or 2 million in futsal, and you think, or in football. When you are a football man, you say, yeah, we take 1.5 million and 500,000 goes to futsal. And otherwise, when you are a futsal people, you say on 1.5 and 500,000. So I see that that's always football people. A lot of football people are in futsal government. So that's very difficult. I think also very good and now, but it is Germany, England are developing. That are big football countries, because they, and you see they are not on the stadium of futsal. So I think it's very important when they become also uh, a good futsal country. You see France now; it's France is developing very hard. Ricardinho is also playing in France. So you see they are developing hard, and it becomes more and more popular in that country. So I think there is a lot, and I think also always have thought schools and universities can also have a big role in futsal. There is an Olympic game for university. There's a world champion of university. I've seen the movies of that games, and they are also at the highest level. They have very good games in the university teams, and there are a lot of university teams in countries that are playing in the highest division. Uh, Turkey has that, and I think Slovenia has that. There are teams from university who play in futsal in competition, and they have the possibility to train 5 times a week. They have they maybe they don't do it, but they have the possibility to train there, just like the American way of basketball. I think yes.
Of course, and I really want to find out from you, are there any threats to the game of futsal that you see in UEFA? Now, we do know, I'm someone asking a rhetorical question, because we do know that in terms of UEFA, Champions League is one of the biggest football competitions or competitions on the continent as well as in the world. What are your but at the same time, we must give credit to UEFA. Of all of the confederations, they have youth futsal tournaments, they have club futsal tournaments, they have national futsal tournaments. Do you see any threat to the growth of futsal in the confederation?
In your confederation, CONCACAF,
In UEFA, in UEFA.
yeah, they want to develop more, but they have, yeah, they take their time, because uh, when they do the championship, the championship, it must be great. There's 16 teams, and it must be very interesting. And I think
I think that Marius have just frozen there. Let's see if we get him back. Um, we're going to take a quick break while it is we work on getting Marius back. Let us be known that in June we have Sport and the series. Take a look. And he's back. Just like that, guys. Don't worry. We have you covered, Marius. Thank you very much. We know how technology goes, especially on live programs.
Okay.
So as you were saying, when it comes to the threats that may exist taking place within futsal, or I should say for futsal in UEFA.
And what do you mean exactly? Treats? I don't.
In terms of, do you think that there are any weaknesses for the growth of futsal in UEFA? Are there any weaknesses? We know that the Champions League is extremely popular. We understand that football is extremely popular. But are there anything else, or are there anything else that will be able to not will stop or hinder the growth of futsal in UEFA?
Yes, and I think it's the same like women football. They are a longer way than uh, futsal, and women football is very popular because uh, that gives new members for the association. It gives a lot of new members and a lot of new public, and they have a long time. And it was also difficult to have women football in the UEFA, and now it's developing very well. So I think it's the same for futsal. They are working and trying to make futsal more important, but it takes time. And yeah, you and me, we want tomorrow, not or yeah, maybe well today. We have no weeks. We want now, and that's the difference. I think it's very good when they take time to develop futsal. And so I see also it's very popular because when you see the Champions League of futsal, it's also very popular nowadays, and there are a lot of people looking around the world to the games. And when we have now the European Championship, I was in Belgium. That was the last one. There were 10,000 spectators. 10,000 spectators in the stadium. So that is very popular. And everybody who you speak, they like it. They saw it. They like it because it's very important that they see it. And now you see also where it's very important to have a good competition. When the people can go in their own country to a good competition and go and they see good games and there are a lot of spectators, you will develop very hard. But yeah, why must people go to futsal, and at what time are you going to send out futsal, and is it professional enough for the people, or is it just like not done?
Do you think that FIFA has a very important role in demanding, yes, I'm using that word, demanding the confederations and its members to help develop futsal? I am
I,
asking that question because you mentioned women's football and the fact that you compared women's football to futsal, noting that it took a while to grow. But many persons will argue that it is because of FIFA's mandatory involvement, or I should say, involvement in causing member associations to have mandatory participation of women's football. That is why women's football grew. Do you think that FIFA's involvement from that standpoint is paramount to the growth of futsal throughout the world?
I think I think the FIFA department of futsal is very small. I think there's one man doing all. I think there's not a lot of people involved with the development of futsal. I think yeah, there must be more. You must have a department, and you have to yeah, demanding. Hey, you must say yes. You have here money, and then you start the competition. That's what you mean by that. And you have to make good courses. Not you have to have make good uh, coaches and good structure in the countries, and you have to develop championships, and then it will be take time, but it goes on and it goes on and to a higher level. But you need people to do it. So when you have one person or two persons that do futsal, yeah, that's very difficult. And and FIFA, you always see when they talk with the association, when the FIFA is coming, they're always talking about football. They are not and women football, I think, but I don't think they talk about futsal because it's strange, and you see that always some people forget it that futsal is can be very important, and I think futsal has more and more. You need it.
Given the what happened with the Super League in the in Europe, according to UEFA, what do you
It's
what do you
football.
I know it's football, but I'm asking that because what are your 5 to 10 year outlook as regards to futsal in UEFA? The reason I mentioned the Super League is because we are seeing a shift. There's a lot of challenges, organizations and persons challenging football and the footballing landscape. We saw that LNFS from Spain just launched LNFS England. There may be that Magnus may do the same thing in another region, or it may just be that LNFS may do more collaborations with organizations throughout the world. So my question to you is, what are your 5 to 10 year outlook as regards to futsal in Europe?
I think the people who when in Europe, it's they have to work together. You have to collaboration. You must be, and there must be a lot of futsal people, and they must ask also players maybe who want to play Marcelo or all the players that they talk about futsal, and there must be an organization, and there must be yes, you and you must look uh, to the young people. What do they want? Where do they go? You must maybe have live streaming. You must maybe have more WhatsApp. You must more have YouTube. You must more. You can do a lot. And we have young people because I said futsal is very popular on universities. And when you are at university, there are good people there. They have good mind, so they can help to develop. But there must be people who ask them to help to make futsal better. They can do a lot, and you can, and that's very important. When you see the big clubs on Europe football, what they do is marketing online or have movies or make movies. When you ask to do a futsal club, they cannot do it. They have not the money and so. So I understand it, but when we work together, just like you, I said to the Rolf, I told always when the Caribbean is working together, you can do together courses, you can help each other, you can play games again, you can school championship, you can make it very popular, but you must do it together because when you do it together, you have more hands.
I really like how you brought in the Caribbean because that was my next point. Tell me your suggestions as regards to the growth of the game in the Caribbean, and also please tell our audience what you did for Suriname because as we started the show, Rolf would have mentioned you that you were single-handedly responsible for the growth of futsal in Suriname.
I think it's very important to have uh, people who want to coach or to want to make futsal better. That's a group, and that group you have to develop. The group has to develop. So you give them courses. I give the course UEFA C and I give the UEFA B on Suriname. They did both, and they have also a license. So good. But when they have a license, it's not ready. Maybe we always think, yeah, they go coaching, and that's no. We must stay together. And what are we going to do with all these coaches? Where are you going to? Can we go send the coaches to the schools? And can they give their futsal training on the schools? What is possible in your country? And I know Suriname has a big school competition. There are 84 or I think 84 teams in Suriname, they play again. And there must be the coaches. And you can do that in the cities. You can do it. You have beautiful weather there in that countries. So you can play outside and you can do it there, training in the society. So that's very nice. And everybody is looking and see what you are doing. And you can help them to do that. So that's one thing I support. Then you have to talk with the clubs. What makes it difficult for them? What can be better? How can we do it together? Because the last question is very important. You can always say, yeah, that's not good, that's not okay. But you have to say, what can we do together to make it better? Or is take always a little step and have success. When you have success, it becomes more and more and more. So I think that's very important that you make people, and people are going out and talk to other people, and so you can make it better and support always from your department of futsal, and talk with the people and listen to the people, because that's very important to listen, because they know a lot. So I think that's for the Caribbean, and you can work together with Curacao or with Costa Rica or Suriname. You must also work together to ring up each other, or to and make plans, little plans to make better.
Most definitely, and we definitely will be taking that advice from you. And you know that we'll be calling you as well, Marius, as regards to helping us grow and build futsal in the Caribbean. You're one of the persons that we'll have on speed dial to be able to continue that conversation. We want to say thank you very much for that. Before we leave, we always end our show, at least for now, considering that the FIFA Futsal World Cup will be held in Lithuania in September of this year. So give us your predictions as regards to the top 5 countries to look out for.
Nowadays, I think it's Spain, Portugal, Brazil, Argentina, and I don't know, but I think also Russia. And I don't know Iran. I don't know how it's developing now because the troubles in the country. But there are my 5 countries for the World Championship.
So you have Spain, you have Argentina, Brazil, Russia, and it is Italy, you said?
Portugal.
Portugal.
I,
So
yeah.
so my question to you is, what I realize that there is no Iran. I mean, it's only 5, of course, I know that. But I have a soft heart for Iran. I really like their development, I must say. I'm very much impressed with how they develop.
Yes,
Um, and I think that Morocco is a dark horse. Are there any dark horses for you?
yeah. There's always. I was thinking about um, what's the French, but they are not playing now. I thought first the France was developing very hard, and it was not coming there. Yeah, I don't know the dog is Morocco. I think that's yeah, they can be a great team. They have good good futsal players, but I don't know how the developing is in the country with with the course or with the training or with. I've never seen the team. There are a lot of boys here from in Holland playing. They are coming from Morocco.
As always, we know that the COVID-19 will be the great equalizer. It's really and truly to see how the government of each country supports, as well as the federation supports the preparation for the national team during this pandemic. Because I really believe that the sixth man on the court would be COVID-19. And let's see
Yes,
how that pans out. So, Marius, I want to say thank you very much for being a part of the show. An hour flew by so quickly. A man of knowledge. We really and truly are very much impressed with what it is we have brought to the show. As a matter of fact, this week it was announced by our local travel authority that there's an agreement between ourselves and KLM, the
okay.
National Airlines of Holland, that there will be a direct flight from Port of Spain to Amsterdam. That means that once things get back to some sort of normalcy, you'll be seeing us very soon. Or as a matter of fact, the other way around, we will be seeing you very soon in Port of Spain to help develop the sport of futsal. We definitely look forward to that, Marius. But by the meantime, until we see each other face to face, please be safe. And we ask God's richest blessings to you and your family during these difficult times. Enjoy the weather, and most importantly, enjoy the grandchildren.
I do, Jeffrey, and very thankful for and proud to be here. So thank you very much for the nice discussion or talking about futsal. And I hope we can have a lot of talks about futsal. So see you and thank you very much.
That's not a problem at all, Marius. It's our pleasure, and have a good one. And enjoy the week ahead.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.
That was Marius Privee, former head coach of the national women's futsal team in Holland. But also, as you listen, a very strong proponent as well as advocate for the growth of futsal, has been working in futsal in his community and the national landscape. And we all know what it means to be able to have futsal in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as, the Dutch style of play being taught to our coaches for years. So to be able to have a man of his caliber speak to us when it comes to all things futsal, it's really and truly an honor. We want to say thank you very much to all as regards to this edition of Futsal868 Corner Talks. And we also want to say it has been May madness here on Futsal868. It has been a great pleasure. But as we look forward to June, we start a 4-part series entitled Sport and, as we go into the educational side to what sport and other industries combine when they marry together, what they produce. Let's take another look to expect for next week Sunday and all the Sundays in June for the 4-part series, Sport and. Thank you very much to one and all, and please be safe during these COVID-19 times. Here in Trinidad and Tobago, we are experiencing a state of emergency. We have a lot of rising cases as well as death. To those who have lost a family member, may their soul rest in peace, our condolences. And to those who are there, please, we ask you all, please, we beg you all to be safe. Take care of yourselves and your family during this time. Take every measure to be able to boost your immunity, and most importantly, look out for the others. Remember your 3 W's: wear your mask properly, watch your distance, and wash your hands properly. On behalf of Futsal868 Corner Talks, on behalf of the Futsal Association of Trinidad and Tobago, have a great week ahead. Bye-bye.